In this video, rental laws in Portugal, an essential guide for landlords and tenants in Portugal. Whether you're a landlord or a tenant, understanding rental laws in Portugal is absolutely essential. With recent changes to regulations and growing demand for housing, it's more important than ever to know your rights and responsibilities. In today's video, we'll walk you through the key rental laws in Portugal, recent updates, and what you need to watch out for, whether you're renting out your property or looking for a place to call home. So let's start with the basics. Rental agreements in Portugal are governed by the Urban Lease Law, also known as Lei do Arrendamento Urbano. These laws protect both tenants and landlords, ensuring a fair rental market. Rental agreements can be short-term or long-term, but all contracts must be in writing and clearly state the rental period, monthly rent, deposit terms, and any other important details. Tenants in Portugal have several important rights. For instance, landlords are required to maintain the property in good condition. If something major breaks, like the plumbing or heating, it's on the landlord to fix that. Key tenant rights include the security of tenure. Tenants cannot be evicted without cause or proper notice. Another is right to a habitable property. The property must meet safety and hygiene standards. And also rent increase protections. Rent can only be increased according to rules set by the government. As a tenant, you're also responsible for paying rent on time and notifying the landlord of any damages that need repair. Now, if you're a landlord, you also have rights, but you'll need to follow the rules carefully to avoid disputes. Key landlord responsibilities include maintaining the property, as we talked about. It needs to be safe, habitable, and in good condition. You need to register the lease. Landlords must register rental agreements with the Portuguese tax authority and issue receipts for rent payments. You also need to give proper notice for termination. You can only terminate a lease under specific conditions and must give the tenant appropriate notice. And remember, failure to comply with these rules could result in fines or legal disputes. So, how is rent regulated in Portugal? One of the most frequently asked questions is about rent control. While Portugal doesn't have strict rent caps, rent increases are regulated annually. The government sets a maximum allowable percentage for rent increases each year based on inflation. For example, in 2024, the cap is set at a certain percentage. Now let's talk about security deposits and upfront payments. So when signing a rental agreement, landlords can request a security deposit. In Portugal, this is usually equivalent to 1 or 2 months' rent. Make sure the deposit terms are clearly outlined in the contract. It's also illegal for landlords to demand excessive upfront payments beyond what's reasonable. Now let's talk about short-term rentals and Airbnb laws, which are especially popular in tourist-heavy areas like Lisbon and Porto. If you're renting out your property on platforms like Airbnb, you'll need a special license called an Alojamento Local, or AL license. If you've ever walked around a Portuguese town, you've probably seen these little placards outside people's houses that say AL. And the thing is, recent changes to Portuguese law have made it harder to get new AL licenses in some regions. For example, in Lisbon and Porto, certain neighborhoods are now completely restricted zones where new licenses are suspended. So that's something you're going to have to do research on and realize that Airbnb might not always be the solution to get the cash flow that you need. Next, let's talk about the eviction rules in Portugal. Eviction is a sensitive topic, and in Portugal, it's not as simple as asking someone to leave. Landlords must have legal grounds for eviction, such as non-payment of rent or damage to the property. Even then, the eviction process must go through the courts. This can take time, so landlords should be prepared for potential delays. Let's also talk about the tax implications for landlords. If you're renting out property in Portugal, you'll also need to consider taxes. Rental income is taxable, and landlords must report it annually. However, there are deductions available, such as expenses for maintenance and repairs. If you are a non-resident landlord, your rental income will still be taxed in Portugal, typically at a flat rate of 28%. Now let's give some tips for a smooth rental experience. Whether you're a tenant or a landlord, here's some quick tips to ensure a smooth rental experience. Number one is always have a written contract. 2, conduct a property inspection before signing. 3, communicate openly about maintenance and repairs. And 4, know your rights and obligations to avoid disputes. Understanding rental laws in Portugal doesn't have to be complicated. With the right knowledge, you can navigate the rental market confidently, whether you're finding a place to live or renting out your property. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more tips on living and investing in Portugal, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about renting in Portugal. Please subscribe to the channel. We have tons of video in Portugal. Check out the whole back catalog. You'll really enjoy it, and we'll catch you in the next video.